From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. September 1875, a few miles across the Rio Grande. Mackenzie and his raiders, again under secret orders, had crossed the border. The mission, wipe out Val Carter, who had left a sensational trail of blood and violence in central Texas.
They can't be here, Val. They ain't allowed on this territory.
They're here just the same.
What about the law?
I don't think those bullets know anything about the laws.
Well placed, sir.
Just so they're pinned. We've lost our surprise, but we'll still have it out with them. We will, that is, if a Mexican border patrol doesn't show up. Simpson.
Yes, sir.
There's a hole up there on their left. See if you can circle around and get into it.
Right, sir.
Cover him.
Mackenzie's surprise attack had failed. Though Carter was now pinned down, both sides risked discovery by the Mexican Border Patrol. Aware of this risk, Mackenzie attempted to encircle Carter to finish him quickly.
Hold tight here, Lieutenant.
Right, sir.
Peterson, come with me.
We've got to scatter. Rendezvous this side of the river. Mackenzie's leaving with one less than he came in with. I want him alive. Start looking.
Where's Simpson?
He hasn't shown up, sir. He must have been hit. He'll make it back if he's alive. We haven't much time, sir.
I can't take a chance on Simpson being captured. We'll have to go back for him.
But, sir, the Border Patrol.
You're right, but we haven't much time, Lieutenant. Let's go.
That's the last of them, sir. We won't have to worry about the Border Patrol.
Good. Lieutenant, have the men search this area.
Check every inch of this terrain. Quiet, sir. Carter must have moved on.
Look here. It's blood. There's no trail leading away from here.
Maybe Carter already has him.
Or maybe Simpson slipped away. He knows how to cover a trail. And he left this marker for us.
Simpson's horse, sir.
Yeah. I've got to know if Simpson's alive or not. But with these border patrols in the area, I can't operate with this many men. Have the raiders go back to the fort, then you and I'll reconnoiter together.
Yes, sir.
Hit this place. Sure made a wreck of it. Yeah. Well, it'll have to do for the night.
Are we risking quite a lot, sir, staying on this side of the river?
You bet we are, Lieutenant. We're risking everything. We have no choice. If Simpson is captured by Carter, it might well mean the end of all our raids into Mexico.
We might not be able to prevent that, sir.
As long as there's a chance, we've got to keep trying. Make yourself comfortable, Tom.
If Simpson isn't caught, he still might make it back on his own. He's been well trained.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he wasn't trained with a bullet in his body. When a man has to fight both fatigue and pain, you can't depend on his wit or his resistance. Simpson's gonna need both. Here. Whew. Wad that up, you can use it for a pillow.
Well, what about you, sir?
Never use them.
Still, even if Carter does capture Simpson, there's no proof he was ordered here as a soldier. He'd swear to Carter or anybody else he was a deserter.
Yeah, maybe so, but I can't depend on it. I can't risk our whole operation here in the Southwest on the ability of one wounded man to resist. Strange as it may seem, Tom, Simpson is now our enemy. Till he's either back in our hands or dead.
What do you think Carter will do to him, sir?
Anything he has to smash me and the raiders. He can turn him over to the Mexican government, or he can turn him over to the American government. The storm that follows will wipe out the raiders.
I hate to think it, sir. We're better off finding Simpson dead than with Carter.
Get some sleep, Lieutenant.
Food and water.
No hablo inglés.
Quiero comida y agua. You live here alone? ¿Vive aquí solamente?
Sí.
It's all right.
Me permite, por favor. Se quiere acostar.
¿Cómo se llama?
Esperanza. ¿Y usted?
Me llama.
I know I winged that man. No horse, bleeding like a stuck pig. Ain't even left a trail.
Gotta give that Mackenzie credit. He's got a tough bunch.
Maybe not so tough, just smart. We'll find out how smart he is as soon as I get my hands on him. But it better be soon.
We're doing the best we can.
Yeah, well, your best is nothing. Nothing. We get that raider here. Mackenzie's already put a crimp in our operation just being here in Mexico. Yeah, that raider's my one chance to get Mackenzie out of my hair for good and for all.
If he's human, we'll find him. Ain't no way he can get out of the area. Unless he can swallow himself up in the air.
Well, what did you find out?
Well, we didn't find hide nor hair of that raider.
I didn't expect you would.
But we did find Colonel Mackenzie himself.
Mackenzie?
That's right. Here in the area, searching for that raider, same as we are. I left one of the men to trail him.
Oh, this is better than I expected. Sure, Mackenzie will get that man of his. And we'll be right there to pick them both up.
Morning of the second day, deep in Mexican territory. Mackenzie and Lieutenant Paxson continued their desperate search for the lost raider. More than a man's life was involved. The very existence of the raiders, of Colonel Mackenzie himself, depended upon the recovery of Trooper Simpson.
Stay right where you are, Lieutenant. I'm being followed by one of Carter's men.
You better get out of here, Colonel.
Yeah, I know. But I also know that Simpson's alive. I picked up his markers. They're pointed west. He can't have gotten very far from here.
What about Carter?
I'll circle around, then come back and continue to follow Simpson's markers. But when we do find Simpson, our work is really cut out for us. He won't be in any condition to travel by himself. You'll have to get the raiders to help us get out of Mexico.
Well, I can get out of here without being seen. Once you find Simpson, what happens then?
I'll get him back to this spot somehow. Meet me here with the raiders. Ride hard, Lieutenant.
Sí. ¿Qué quiere?
Been any strange Americans around here?
No hablo inglés.
Take a look myself. You live here alone? ¿Vive sola?
Sí. Mi familia está muerta. Bien. Es su amigo, su amigo.
Simpson, good boy, Simpson. Here, lie down, lie down. Wound's in pretty rough shape, huh?
Thanks to her, it's clean. Bleeding's just about stopped. Agua para coronar.
I see.
Does she understand English?
No, sir.
How much does she know?
Only what she sees. Our trousers, she knows we're soldiers.
Does she live here alone?
Her family died of typhoid a few months back.
Señor.
Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Sir, I'm not so sure I covered my trail very well. I was pretty much out of my head most of the time.
You did fine. Fine. Those markers helped. Now tell me, Simpson, can you walk out of here?
I don't know, sir. I had a pretty rough time just making it to that back door when Carter's men got here.
Now listen to me. You've got to walk out of here. I can't let them capture you. You understand, Simpson?
I know, sir. But I don't think I'm going to be able to make it back to the river.
You won't have to go that far. I've sent Lieutenant Paxson back for the raiders. But we've at least got to get as far as the spot where he last saw me. And we've got to hurry. Now that Carter knows we're both in the neighborhood, he won't stop searching this area till he finds one or the other of us. Now, come on, come on. Señorita, por favor.
Ay, pero se está muy enfermo, no, por favor.
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Get out of sight. Come on. I'm coming back. Señorita, párese aquí.
I think I'll take another look, señorita. Oh, don't be afraid of me.
Roman? Roman?
Thank you, Senorita. All right, Simpson. The two horses out in front. You ride one, the Senorita and I'll ride double on the other. Come on, let's get out of here. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get back to Lieutenant Paxson and bring the raiders. It's our only chance.
Don't worry, Colonel. They won't take me.
Is there another way out of here? Hay otra salida.
Es muy difícil, imposible.
¿Hay otra salida?
Sí, por aquí.
You and the girl keep up a steady fire. Don't let them get near.
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
Tres.
Drop it. Lieutenant. Come in.
Private Simpson reporting, sir.
Oh, yes, Simpson. Close the door. Step over here, please. Doctor tells me you're about ready to resume active duty.
I'm ready to go back right now, sir.
Mm-hmm. Well, I called you in here, Simpson, to remind you that when you became a raider, you took a certain oath never to divulge any of your activities as a raider, even after your term of enlistment is over and you've left the Army.
But I haven't talked, sir. I don't intend to.
See to it that you don't. Even when you're tempted to explain where you got this Medal of Merit.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Trooper. Both for your work and for your silence.
If the colonel will forgive me, he needn't worry. After my enlistment's over, I figured I might be living in Mexico.
In Mexico? Oh, I see. Congratulations, Simpson.
Thank you, sir.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making. From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. Southwest Texas, 1873. The town of Brackettville, resort of thieves, renegades, outlaws, and a few honest men desperately trying to develop the beginning of democracy on the frontier.
Turn around, little boy blue. I don't like to draw on a man unless he draws on me first. But I will if I have to. Like I said, I don't like to see people whispering with soldiers. Do it again, same thing's gonna happen to you. Now you go to bed, Pop.
Okay, Johnny, stay right where you are. I'll go tell the sheriff there's been another killing.
You tell them these people in Brackettville have to learn. I don't like them sending word every little thing I do to Colonel Mackenzie. They have to learn I got a right to some privacy. They got to learn I'm the boss.
Okay, Johnny, okay. You're the boss. But I'm a lawyer, and I'll tell him no such thing.
Why not?
You've got to take my advice. You're paying me for it. I'm telling you how the two of us can take over this town. But it's got to appear legal. Otherwise, we won't take it over. Colonel Mackenzie will, with martial law.
I've been taking your advice, Dutch, and it's working out. Like you said, this should make the colonel put Brackettville off limits to his soldier boys, and that's the way it's got to be, if we're going to have the privacy we need.
Now, just remember, Johnny, we're walking a tightrope. Not too much, not too little.
Now, look, you just go get that sheriff.
The morning after the murder, Ranald Mackenzie set out for the town of Brackettville on the sad mission of reclaiming the dead boy's body.
No call to get mad with me. I've always tried to work with you. Give you all the information I could, same as some others here in town. But now it's different. Why? Because Johnny links a fast gun. Do you know what that is, Colonel? A fast gun. That's a new profession here in the Southwest. A lot of towns have them. They take over. Johnny Link with his gun, Dutch Herman with the law. They've got their hand in every legitimate till in Brackettville. Maybe in the whole territory, for all I know. But you have law in this territory? You have due process? You have a judge?
Yes, we have a judge.
He rides circuit through here every 5 weeks. By the time he heard any case against Johnny Link, every possible witness would be intimidated or dead. I tell you, Colonel, we've got to find a way to...
Excuse me, sir.
Well, Sergeant?
I told the men not to shoot, sir. I haven't yet, but you know how they are sometime.
What are you talking about?
A civilian named Link, sir.
What about him?
Well, we was just finishing loading the body on the wagon when this Mr. Link came along and ordered all the civilians off the street. Said there might be a shooting. Said he was looking for you, sir.
For me?
Yes, sir. Like I said, the men don't like it, sir.
Whatever you do, Colonel, don't try to draw. Don't try to draw.
I'm a soldier, Sheriff, not a fast gun.
Detail, all in.
Colonel Mackenzie?
Mr. Link, I had word you wanted to see me.
Uh-huh. Keep your men out of Brackettville. This town's trying to be law-abiding. Soldiers an unsettling element, troublesome, quarrelsome. Very bad for business.
My soldiers wearing the uniform of the United States Army will go anywhere I choose to order them, including Brackettville.
In that case, Colonel, you'll have to expect more of these incidents.
Sergeant!
Yes, sir?
Kindly arrest Mr. Link. Convey him to the jail at Fort Clark.
Yes, sir. Trooper, forward.
I'm here to take Johnny Link out of your jail, Colonel. If he's done anything wrong or illegal, I'm responsible. You want Johnny Link back in your town? Not me, Colonel. That's not the point. I'm just an elected sheriff. Some of our folks, well, they think that you exceeded your authority. Dutch Herman, for instance, his lawyer? Oh, a lot of folks seem to agree with Dutch. Yeah, I can imagine who these folks are. They're citizens. They vote. They vote. Sheriff, my orders as an officer direct me to encourage democracy wherever I find it in this territory. It's for that reason alone, that I'm going to release Johnny Link. I'm going to release him from military custody into your civilian custody. Sergeant, showing Mr. Link.
I knew you'd be coming for me, Sheriff. After all, we got law here in Brackettville. Democratically elected law. And I think you forgot yourself, Colonel Mackenzie, when you arrested me. I'm advised the Army has no jurisdiction in our town.
I shan't argue legalities with you, Mr. Link. Just let me tell you this. There'll be no more killing in that town. No more dead soldiers, no more dead civilians. Because if there are, you'll answer to me personally.
If you ever want me to answer to you personally, I'd be delighted to accommodate you. You just come walking down our street, alone, looking for me. I'll be there. Oh, and Colonel, if and when you do come looking for me, will you make sure that fast gun of yours is tied down?
It would seem, Sergeant, that I've been challenged.
Well, don't you pay no attention to that, sir.
Tied down. Fast gun. What do I know about such games? I studied this weapon in West Point, Sergeant. It's a tool of my profession. It's for use in close skirmishes. It's for use in guarding prisoners or accepting surrenders. It's for use in killing rattlesnakes. It was never intended as a dueling weapon.
What are we going to do, sir?
I haven't an idea. But until I get one, put Brackettville off limits to all personnel.
Yes, sir.
I want every raider that's off duty to be in stable B at midnight.
Happy day. The old man's fine.
Shh. The old man doesn't know a thing about this, and he's not gonna.
Well, the raiders can't meet without the old man knowing.
Did you hear me, Dixon?
Yeah, sure, Sarge.
We're going to be writing a certain party in Brackettville a letter. I'll be delivering it myself. So you have some civilian clothes ready for me.
Yeah, sure, Sarge.
Johnny Link, sir. We speak for 20 of us soldiers. Nobody but us knows who we are. We swear that if you ever draw your gun on Colonel Mackenzie, all 20 of us will come personally and kill you. This could be serious, Johnny. All 20 of us will come personally and kill you. There's no signature. Johnny, I told you not to lean too hard. I told you we were walking a tightrope. You force a showdown with Colonel Mackenzie, these soldiers.
Let him come.
Be reasonable, Johnny. You can't take on a whole platoon of berserk bluebellies.
All right, you're a lawyer. What do I do?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
What do you mean?
Tomorrow morning, we'll visit the town printer and have him run off some handbills.
Some handbills?
$5,000 bounty on the head of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie. Then we'll post them in every town in the Southwest.
I don't get you, Dutch.
Well, $5,000 should be enough to attract every fast gun in the territory to Brackettville in 2-3 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, who's gonna pay the $5,000?
We are, and cheap at the price. They all know you're the boss. They'll know who to come to. In our business, Johnny, it's sometimes wise to let others do the work. Come on, Johnny. I'll load Jack.
Unbeknownst to Colonel Ranald Mackenzie, Brackettville was about to become a magnet, attracting professional killers from all over the Southwest.
Has the colonel read the morning report yet?
I put it on his desk, but I haven't heard him bellow yet.
Sergeant! You just heard him. Yes, sir?
What's going on?
What's going on where, sir?
You know what I mean, Sergeant. This is the morning report. Why are there 14 men in the guardhouse?
Disorderly, sir. Fighting.
Fighting about what?
Poker game, sir.
14 men can't sit in a poker game. Shut the door. Now then, what's going on around here that I should know about?
Well, sir, it's the men. Mostly it's the new ones that have never fought under you before.
What about the men?
They say we're scared, sir.
What you mean is they say the colonel's scared.
I guess so, sir. But it's just some of them. And us men that know you, well, we feel they should have their heads knocked together anyway.
Scared of a 2-bit fast gunman. See who that is, please.
Yes, sir.
Sir, word from Brackettville. The sheriff was killed this morning by Johnny Link.
Why?
The message just said he was trying to put him in jail, sir, for incitement to murder. So Link shot him.
Have my horse ready.
Sir.
Send word ahead by civilian scout. I'm coming into Brackettville. I'm in to see this Johnny Link put in the town jail.
Sir, you ain't going walking down that street alone.
No, you're right, Sergeant. You, Corporal Dixon, and 3 other troopers will accompany me. We're further going to see that Brackettville elects a new sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Now, get that civilian scout going. I want him there before us.
Yes, sir.
Mackenzie! I'm not armed. You can see. I don't want any trouble in this town. No gunfighting.
What do you mean you don't want any trouble in this town? What have you got to say about it?
Haven't you heard? I'm the new sheriff of Brackettville.
You're what?
You heard me. The citizens got together this morning and elected me.
I see. Where's Johnny Link? I've come to see him.
Johnny won't be able to see anybody for 2-3 days. I've got him in jail, pending an investigation.
In jail? But you're his lawyer.
I'm also a public official now. I know where my duty lies.
Mr. Herman, as a lawyer, would you say this constitutes incitement to murder?
I can't help what they put on the public streets.
No, of course not. Please tell Mr. Johnny Link and anyone else concerned that I'll be back to see them in 2-3 days. Sergeant, you'll report yourself to my office the minute we get back to Fort Clark.
Yes? Just one thing, sir, before you send me to the stockade. Would you tell me how you found out about our letter?
I didn't. You just told me. Sit down.
Yes, sir. But then how?
Things started to fall into place as soon as I saw that handbill offering a bounty on my head. Obviously, Johnny Link could kill me at any game of fast draw. Equally obviously, he was afraid to. Now, what would Johnny Link be afraid of? It could only be the Army. And strangely enough, Sergeant, when I thought of the Army, I thought of you.
Yes, sir. May I stand up now?
Calling my raiders together secretly, sending threatening letters to civilians. Nevertheless, I wish I'd thought of it first.
Sir?
You've devised a perfect stratagem for handling our problem.
I have, sir?
Get back on duty. Oh, and alert the raiders. We'll be riding together in 2-3 days. Civilian dress for all of you.
Yes, sir.
Dutch.
I've been looking for you. Johnny Grjngo just got in town.
Johnny Grjngo, huh?
Yeah.
All right. That makes 5 of the best already, and it's only 3 days.
Hey, Johnny. What are you doing down here in the lobby? You're supposed to be in jail.
I get tired cooped up in that room upstairs.
Oh, Johnny. Hey, Johnny, come here. Who's that one?
Yeah, who is that? I've seen him somewhere before.
Where?
Dodge City? Cimarron? But anyway, I make 6 already. You sure they know what to do when the time comes?
Sure. They're all waiting for you. Where will you be?
Upstairs, upstairs. Watching.
He's coming to town. Mackenzie's in town.
Get going, Dutch.
Clear the street, everybody! I don't want anybody to get hurt! Clear the street!
I have no doubt that any of you gentlemen could kill me in the next second. If you do, however, you'll all be dead in the following second. A state of anarchy exists in Brackettville. I intend to put a stop to it.
Just how do you figure to do that, Colonel?
If you'll look above you, gentlemen. Each of those guns is trained on each of your hearts by one of my troopers. I'm sorry I can't accommodate you gentlemen in your games of fast draw. Unfortunately, my job here is not to play games. Now, if you'll all step forward and drop your weapons here at my feet. Now, gentlemen. You too, Mr. Herman. All right, Mr. Link. Now we're evenly matched, because I'm already drawn. Will you fight out here, or shall I come in and get you? Hold your positions! It's only an arm wound, Sergeant. Don't look so funereal. But see if you can find where the town doctor's hiding. I think I'm gonna faint. Come in. Oh, come in, Sergeant.
Message from Brackettville, sir. Balloting and counting has been completed.
Any incidents?
With a detail of troopers at every ballot box? No, sir.
Very well. Send word into town. Recall all troops to the fort. Brackettville can take care of itself now.
Yes, sir.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making. From the archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. Fort Clark, the year 1874. Colonel Ranald Slidell Mackenzie commanding. The pressure on his undermanned garrison was growing day by day. The 1,500-mile perimeter, which was the responsibility of the 4th Cavalry, was becoming increasingly difficult to patrol. Each morning light saw the troopers leave the post. Each twilight saw less and less of them return. In the year of 1874, this portion of southwest Texas was a cruel and savage land, and peace was to be won only at a price. The men of Fort Clark paid the price against renegades, outlaws, and Indians. As the days passed, the price mounted, and among a small group of men in Mackenzie's command, the word mutiny was heard.
Captain, did you talk to him like you said you would?
Not yet, but I will now.
Any word yet?
Not yet, sir.
Major Edmondson's patrol is 4 days overdue. I gather he ran into Bo Kruger, or Kruger ran into him.
Sir, Jones is outside. You said you'd pass sentence today.
Oh, yes. All right, send him in.
Yes, sir. I'd like to say something first, sir.
Certainly.
Jones has been with us for 3 years. He has an excellent record. He has many friends.
Yes, I'm sure of that. But Trooper Jones is a soldier. He's responsible for his own actions. May I remind you, this is the United States Army, not a finishing school.
Yes, sir, I understand that, sir.
For 4 months, Bo Kruger has been able to raid and plunder this land at will, free from our patrols, because this Trooper Jones has been tipping him off to our every action.
I'm sure Jones didn't realize what he was doing, sir.
Captain, there's a patrol lost out there. They may be dead. And you're going sentimental over a traitor.
I'm sorry, sir. I'll bring in the prisoner.
Corporal Jones, do you feel you received a fair trial?
Yes, sir.
Then it's my duty to sentence you as the presiding officer of your court-martial. I sentence you to 5 years hard labor and dishonorable discharge.
But, sir, I turned myself in.
Please take him away.
Oh. Oh, somebody help me. He's mad. Everybody knows it. Everybody hates him. Everybody hates you, sir.
Now listen, Trooper. Just be thankful it's not the firing squad. I said please take him away.
I beg your pardon, sir. I don't believe you showed any mercy at all.
The trooper was tried and found guilty by a court-martial. It's my duty to pass sentence. If you find that sentence too severe, I suggest that you add it to the report that you and Major Edmondson are planning to send to Washington. I'm aware, Captain, that you're asking that I be relieved of my command. I'm aware that you and Major Edmondson find my discipline much too severe. You're entitled to that opinion. You're entitled to send in such a report. I must remind you, however, that it's your responsibility to take the consequences of such action. Come in.
Colonel, Lieutenant Jarrett's patrol is back. The lieutenant's right outside.
Ask him to come in. That'll be all, Captain. Well, Lieutenant, did you find Major Edmondson's patrol?
Yes, sir.
Well, where are they?
Well, we didn't exactly find them, sir.
What's this?
One of Kruger's men rode up under a white flag. They're holding 3 prisoners from Edmondson's patrol.
And they'll release them unharmed in return for safe passage across the Rio Grande. With their stolen cattle, no doubt.
It says you have 2 hours, sir, to agree. Major Edmondson must have ridden into an ambush. There are 3 men left alive. My patrol found the other 3.
You told anyone else about this note? Any of the men in your patrol?
No, sir. I was afraid they'd want to ride in and try and save the prisoners. Major Edmondson might be one of the prisoners.
Major Edmondson is dead.
Well, how do you know, sir? It says there...
All these men are dead, Lieutenant. The entire patrol.
Oh, but, sir...
Edmondson's patrol was 4 days overdue. If Kruger took anyone alive and wanted to make a deal with us, we'd have heard from him before now. This is a trick, a bluff.
Those men must be alive, sir. What other reason would make Kruger send a man down out of the hills with that?
I can think of 600 or 700 reasons. All of them slow-footed, stolen cattle. Cattle that can't run or dodge or fight. He's trapped with those cattle. He's vulnerable, and he knows it. And this is his answer.
Well, why hasn't he tried this before?
He didn't have to. He knew of every movement of our patrols from one of our own troopers. Lieutenant, can you imagine what would happen if I give in to this? The next time he raids, he'd really take hostages. He'd take civilians. He'd make the whole garrison at Fort Clark helpless, useless.
I hadn't thought of that, sir.
No, neither will a lot of the other officers and men at Fort Clark. That's why it's imperative that we say nothing about this note to anyone.
No one? Why, sir?
Because too many men will believe this lie. They'll believe it beyond all reason, because the next time it could be them. These men are dead. They've been dead for 4 days.
If you say so, sir.
You men ready?
Yeah. Why are just 4 or 5 of us moving out? Why not the whole force? You know, the way I got it figured, the old man's finally got a clean shot at Kruger.
Look, I don't make up the orders, Fox. I just carry him out.
Yeah, well, I wish we'd get started. I get nervous waiting.
What's your hurry, new boy? Waiting's better than dying.
Now, who says we're going to die?
Who said Major Edmonds and his patrol were going to die? You never know. But you got a reasonable good chance. You're riding with Mackenzie.
Look, we're not sure Edmondson's patrol are all dead.
What do you mean, not sure?
Just that those men who were with Lieutenant Jarrett found only 3 bodies. Well, maybe Edmondson and the other 2 crawled away to hide. Or maybe they were taken. Maybe they're prisoners.
Well, what are we waiting for? If there's a chance somebody's still alive, why don't we do something about it?
Sit easy, new boy, sit easy. You just take orders, do what you're told.
Maybe we're waiting to be sure everyone's dead.
What's the matter with you, Sarge? You're not making sense.
I'm not, huh?
No.
Well, you haven't heard what I've heard in the colonel's office. The major and Captain Barton arguing about the old man's discipline. And the major going to send a report into Washington. Having the old man busted if he can.
Sarge, you trying to tell us the colonel wants Major Edmondson dead? You just save your breath. No one on this post's going to believe that.
Attention!
Sergeant, did you brief the men?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Just one, sir. Is there any chance that some of those men are still alive?
No. No chance at all. I think we should all forget about Major Edmondson's patrol. We're going to be in a fight to the finish ourselves in a few hours. Any other questions? Very well, then. Be ready to move out at 1 o'clock. Come in.
Colonel, Mrs. Edmondson wanted to see you.
Betty. Betty, I was going to come to see you. I can't tell you how sorry I am about Bob.
Then why don't you try and save him?
Save him?
Lieutenant Jarrett told me about the note, Colonel.
I couldn't let her go on thinking that Major Edmondson is dead.
Would you have any proof that he isn't?
3 men are being held prisoner. He could be one of them.
And if he isn't one of the 3, then it's someone else to be saved.
Lieutenant, I thought I ordered you to keep silence about that note.
You did, sir?
And you deliberately disobeyed my command?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because I believe you're deliberately making sure that Major Edmondson is dead.
You're under arrest, Lieutenant. You're confined to your quarters as of now.
No, not till we get this settled.
Did you hear me, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir.
Go to your quarters.
Colonel, I want my husband back if he's still alive.
But he isn't.
I promise you that these files will be destroyed. I give them to you now, and I swear that Bob will drop all charges. You know what they are. Charges criticizing your manner of disciplining the men. Bob was sending it to Washington.
Betty. Betty. I'm sorry, Bob is dead. Can't you understand that? Can't anyone understand that? That patrol was hit 4 days ago. Bob is dead. They're all dead. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for them now, except attack Kruger and destroy him.
The morning of May 9th, Mackenzie rode out to Kruger's campsite at Antelope Pass. His was the responsibility, and his were the orders. Make this a safe land. The men with him, though ruled by a sense of duty, were deeply disturbed for the lives of the comrades they thought trapped.
Hey, I think I see 2 soldiers down there. I do see 2 soldiers down there. Captain, there are 2 soldiers down there, sir. Prisoners for Major Edmondson's patrol. Two men down there, sir.
I'm aware of that.
What do we do?
We wait. That cave up there, have the men conceal themselves in it.
Yes, sir. You stand guard out here.
Two men, all that's left of Edmondson's patrol. Well, Brown, what do you think of the colonel now?
Stop fretting, new boy. The colonel will work it out.
A guard on each man, that's not good.
Well, it could be worse.
I don't see how.
Have the men stay here for 2 hours. By that time, the sun will be behind our backs, and then we go down the hill.
You don't mean you're still going to attack?
Those men will be dead before we get halfway down the hill.
Not if Corporal Brown does his job. He's going to jump one of their outriders. He's going to change clothes with him. Then he's going to ride right into Kruger's camp. When he gets close enough to the 2 prisoners to make a stand, we go down the hill.
There be any chance of making a deal with Kruger?
No. No chance at all.
Why not?
Because, Captain, in that case, we'd lose the one element that's to our advantage. The element of surprise, and we can't afford to lose it.
But we can't afford to lose those 2 men down there. Is that it, sir?
If by losing those 2 men I destroy Kruger, if I make this territory a little bit safer place to live, yes, Private, I can afford to lose those 2 men. We're all out here to fight, not to do missionary work. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
In 2 hours, the sun will be behind our backs. Stay here with the men.
Yes, sir.
Corporal, get my horse. On the double.
I tell you, it'll never work. It'll never work.
The colonel knows what he's up to.
Major Edmondson was still alive. I bet he'd know what to do to save those men down there.
What?
Take command.
You're talking mutiny.
Is that any different from the kind of talk in that report that you and the Major were going to send to Washington?
Yes. That was legal and proper channels.
Well, I don't think those 2 men have time enough for you to be legal or proper, Captain. Not if you ask me.
Well, Captain?
The men, sir. They're pretty impatient.
The men will wait another 45 minutes.
You don't understand, sir. They don't want to go through with this thing.
They'll go through with it.
Those 2 men down there are killed. The men will never forgive you.
Captain, it's not important whether those men forgive me or not. It's important that they obey my orders. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, is there anything else?
No, sir. Nothing else.
He won't listen at all, sir?
No.
Well, I guess that leaves things smack up to you, Captain.
What can I do?
Take command, sir. Then either try to bargain with Grjngo or leave him alone.
Leave him alone?
That way those men will have a chance at least to try and escape, if nothing else.
If they get killed, it won't be us causing the killing, sir.
No.
Well, why not, Captain?
I can't, that's all. I just can't explain it. Maybe the colonel knows what he's doing.
Yes, sir. He knows what he's doing, all right, sir. He knows those 2 men down there don't stand a chance.
Why don't you just be quiet, new boy? Start acting like a soldier and do what you're told. If there was another way for Mackenzie to do this, he'd have done it.
Oh, you're just wrong, old-timer. You're just completely wrong.
Where is he, Captain?
Out there, watching Kruger. 2 of Edmondson's patrol were taken prisoner.
They're still alive?
Not for long, sir. We attack in 5 minutes.
You can't. Barton, you've got to stop him.
How?
I don't care how, just do it. Didn't he tell you about Kruger's note?
No, what note?
The one I brought in. Kruger's willing to release the prisoners once he's safely across the river.
Why in heaven's name didn't he say something about it?
I don't know. The colonel ignored it altogether.
The way I see it, Captain, you've got to take command right now. You've got to.
Jarek, I can't.
No board of inquiry in the world would convict you for taking command now.
Lieutenant Jarek. What are you doing here?
I came to tell the men the truth about the note and about you.
Why didn't you say something about Kruger's note?
Because I didn't believe the note.
Well, you can believe it now?
No, I can't.
Why not? You can see the prisoners.
Once Kruger gets those men across the river, he'll never send them back alive.
Give him a chance. Give those men a chance.
The only chance those men have is a surprise attack. And that's what we're going to do.
No, Colonel, we're not going to attack.
Who says we're not?
I do.
And we back the captain up. All of us.
I'm sorry, Colonel. I'm taking command. Sergeant, get the men to the horses. We're withdrawing.
Yes, sir.
Stand as you were. All of you. Remember the sound of one shot, and both those men are dead.
Just what do you intend to do, Colonel?
I intend to get those men.
Not down that hill.
You're going to stop them all by yourself, Colonel?
If I have to. And when I've finished, I'm going to see to it that each one of you walks back to Fort Clark. And then I'm going to break you.
Stop it!
Mutiny, when one man knows the desperation of being alone against hate, alone against the world.
The fool.
No one spotted him yet.
Captain, he might make it. We better get ready. If there's any shooting, we gotta get down there.
All right, then let's go.
Not to every man, to only a chosen few comes a climax when more than courage is called for, when everything a man believes in is put to the test.
All right, it's Ray. Any word from Mackenzie?
That's Mackenzie.
The stinkers dressed in our uniforms. What do you make of that, Captain?
Colonel was right. Our men were dead all along.
Yeah, and we fell for it.
Well, the colonel didn't.
Sergeant.
Deploy the men to drive those cattle back where they belong.
Yes, sir. Follow me, men.
Colonel, what can I say except that...
There's nothing you can say, Captain. It's all over.
You don't mean you're going to forget all of that?
No, I'm never going to forget all that. Neither are any of you. I'll see to it. Every one of those non-coms now has no stripes whatsoever, and you, Captain, are now a lieutenant. The rest of what happened here today we'll keep among ourselves. And eventually we'll settle it among ourselves. Come in.
Goodbye, Colonel.
Well, goodbye, Betty. I imagine Baltimore will seem rather strange after Fort Clark.
By the time I reach Baltimore, Colonel, I will have forgotten Fort Clark. I have to make myself forget this this place.
Yes, well, I guess it isn't much for a woman.
Isn't much for most men, either. It wasn't for Bob. He should have faced himself and not you. But then there aren't many men with the courage of their convictions, such as you, Colonel.
Bob didn't lack courage.
Whatever it was, he was wrong about this. I hope you can forgive him. Goodbye, Colonel. I said, by the time I reach Baltimore, I will have forgotten Fort Clark. But I'll never forget you, Colonel. I'll always pray for you, wherever you may be.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest, make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making. archives of the United States Cavalry, the true stories of Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and the cavalrymen he led. Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. October 1876. Deep in Mexico, Colonel Ranald Mackenzie and a handful of raiders had finally located the camp of the renegade Chiricahua Apache Gatito, a long-sought foe to be brought to justice, dead or alive.
Your brother will be mincemeat if he falls off of that ledge.
Why didn't you know, Sarge? Old Tobin's part mountain goat.
Yeah, I thought something was familiar.
And now, Sarge, us Davises are mighty clannish.
Spot Gatito's camp?
Federales. Mexican border guards.
Where?
Coming this way. Colonel, they were so close, I swear I could have reached out and almost touched them.
They see you?
No, sir.
We better get out of here. Let's go.
Colonel! My brother! We gotta get him out, Colonel.
Davis? Davis?
I'm all right, sir. We'd better hurry.
There's no time. We've got to leave him.
But, Colonel, he's my brother.
Give him your canteens, both of you, and your rations. We'll come back for you when we can, Davis. All right, Sergeant, let's go.
Tobin?
Hurry up. Do like the colonel says. Get out of here.
But I can't leave.
You better leave. I'll be all right, do you hear? You know what it'll mean if you get caught down here.
Left leg. Easy, Colonel.
Let's go.
Them Federales can't be far off. We better get going.
All right, let's go. Give me the reins.
The thing Mackenzie had feared most had happened. A raider had been captured alive below the border, and the Mexican government had demanded a complete and thorough investigation of the circumstances.
And by the time I got back to the horses, the Federales had me surrounded, held me for 2 days. If I'd known they're going to bring me back here, I would have told them about Tobin.
And have him stand trial, too? Davis, the treaty between Mexico and the United States forbids any soldier from crossing the border. That's why General Gonzalez insisted on this court-martial.
Yes, sir. I reckon it's better this way. Tobin's safe, ain't he?
He's safe enough at the moment, but you're not. Everything depends on what happens at this court-martial.
Well, what do you mean, Colonel?
Adam, there are only 23 of us. 23 raiders who know what we've been up to. Everyone else is going to testify against you, according to the way things looked on the surface. That's why this court-martial may reach some pretty false conclusions.
Well, now don't you fret, Colonel. I can take care of myself.
They're going to tear you apart.
More than a few Apaches have tried the same thing. I'm still here. I ain't worried.
Davis, this is not a fight with knives and guns. There's more than one way to cut a man.
Well, now don't you give it no thought, Colonel. Really, I'm fine.
All right, Davis. I hope you remember what you've just said. I hope you remember it when the going gets real tough. A lot depends on you, Davis. The very life of the raiders depends on you.
Yes, sir.
Trial starts in 1 hour. Good luck.
Your dress uniform, sir.
Thank you.
Secretary Cameron wanted to see you as soon as you're dressed, sir.
Right. Sergeant, remind me to make out a 5-day pass for Corporal Tobin Davis.
Yes, sir.
Just in case. Tell me something, Sergeant. What would you do if they defamed you, if they smeared your name as a soldier in public?
Oh, I'd...
Go on, tell me.
Well, I've been with the colonel for 10 years. I think he knows what I'd do.
Unfortunately, however, Adam Davis hasn't had that 10 years.
Well, he has his oath as a raider.
His oath, yes. An oath, Sergeant, is a calling upon God to witness the truth of something we say. I'm afraid that by the time this trial is over, Corporal Adam Davis may well believe that God has completely deserted him.
Colonel, the responsibility for this situation rests entirely upon your shoulders. The government cannot allow it to become a cause of war with Mexico. And if the existence of the raiders becomes known during this trial, you yourself will face court-martial. The president cannot support you.
Mr. Secretary, from the moment I received those secret orders from the president, I was aware that something like this could and probably would happen. I'm perfectly willing to take full responsibility.
Also, as president of the court, my decision will, of necessity, rest entirely upon the evidence that's presented.
I understand that, sir.
Good. Did you have a talk with this Corporal Davis?
Yes, I did.
Of course, you did not tell him that you are under secret orders from the president.
As far as he or any other raider knows, these forays across the river are entirely my instigation.
Naturally. Colonel, quite a bit depends on the outcome of this trial.
Quite a bit, sir. Most important thing being the very existence of the raiders.
Exactly. So much good has been done that, well, it would be wrong if this were the end. The president has often told me that the raiders live or die entirely with you, that he would never reactivate them if anything were to happen.
I wonder if Trooper Davis knows how important he is. Odd how throughout history so many vast enterprises have depended on just one man.
Colonel, this trial judge advocate.
Lieutenant Farron. He's a good man.
He is not a raider?
Sir, I couldn't ask a raider to be a prosecutor.
Of course. And the defense counsel?
Lieutenant Alexander, also a good man. He, too, knows nothing of the raiders.
Unless Corporal Davis, in discussing the case with him, has said something.
Well, in that case, wouldn't Lieutenant Alexander have come to me for verification?
Possibly he intends to do that at the trial. He's listed you as a witness for the prosecution.
Everyone, please rise.
Colonel Mackenzie has requested permission to address this court. It's hereby granted.
Mr. Secretary, gentlemen of the court, Lieutenant Alexander, Lieutenant Farron, inasmuch as this is a general court-martial and the very life of the accused is at stake, I, as commander in this area, am disqualified to hear the case. This court will be presided over by the Secretary of War, Mr. James Cameron. His decision and that of the court will be final, subject only to review by the President of the United States.
Lieutenant Farron, would you read the charges and specifications to the court?
This general court-martial is called to order this 23rd day of October, 1876, to hear the case of Adam Davis, Corporal, 4th United States Cavalry, 25th Regiment. Secretary of War James Cameron presiding. The accusations, to wit, Corporal Adam Davis was discovered illegally under arms and in uniform without proper authority within the confines of the country of Mexico by Federales forces. This action known by the accused to be such as to endanger the peace existing between that country and the United States.
Lieutenant Farron, you may open your case.
Mr. President, officers of the court, in my mind this is clear-cut. But I also believe there is an insidious side to this case, and I intend to prove it.
You may proceed.
As my first witness, I call Trooper John Smith to the stand.
Trooper Smith. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
Trooper Smith, the accused is billeted in the same quarters as yourself, is he not?
That's right, sir.
Would you please tell the court exactly what you told me?
Well, every once in a while, he, ain't there.
Will you explain that?
Well, what I mean is we all draw our duty after morning roll call. We all kind of know what everybody else gets. A lot of times Davis draws duty, then he just ain't there.
You mean he disappears? You know where he goes?
No, sir. A couple times I seen him sneaking into the billet late at night. None of my business. Kind of suspicious, though.
Mr. Devon, have you ever had any dealings with the accused?
Sure. Like all the other soldiers, he buys tobacco and such like from me.
Has he ever sold you anything?
Yeah, some silver ornaments.
Do you know where these ornaments were made?
Objection. The witness couldn't know.
Mr. President, with 15 years' experience as a trader on the frontier, I believe he would know.
Objection overruled. The witness will answer.
Well, it was Mexican silver.
I see. Now, Mr. Devon, would you please tell the court just how often the accused brought these items of Mexican silver to your store?
Now, one last question. You say you've been trading on the frontier for the last 15 years?
That's right.
Then you know the Cocopas and the Maricopas.
Sure.
Would you say that these friendly Texas Indians have a way of working silver similar to the Mexicans?
Yes.
Could you tell the difference between the two?
Well, no, I reckon not.
You couldn't. Isn't it true that several other troopers have sold you items similar to those you bought from the accused?
Yeah.
No more questions.
You may step down. Call your next witness.
Next witness.
I would like to call Colonel Ronald Mackenzie to the stand. Now, Colonel, may I ask why, on 2 occasions when the accused was about to depart on furlough, why did you personally cancel his leave?
Objection. Colonel Mackenzie isn't being judged. I see no reason why he should be made to account for the handling of his command.
My apologies if I appear to be doing that. But I am trying to establish a point.
What is that point, Lieutenant?
I'm trying to show that on several occasions it was necessary for the commanding officer himself to discipline him.
In general, let me say that discipline is usually handled by my chain of command. However, with reference to the point you wish to establish, it's true that on occasion I exercise my prerogative and discipline the men personally. Corporal Davis, no more and no less than any other man.
Yes, of course. Colonel, how would you rate the accused as a soldier?
I had always rated Corporal Davis as an extremely brave and able soldier.
Had, until now.
I didn't mean...
If it please the court.
Lieutenant Alexander.
The trial judge advocate at the opening of this court-martial made a statement that there was a insidious side of this case. I fail to see any proof of this. If I may, I'd like to ask just what he's getting at with his whole line of questioning.
I'll tell you what I've been getting at. The accused is known to have disappeared from this post, to have had in his possession Mexican silver, here purported to be gotten from the Indians. I'll even admit to that. Specifically, the Indian Gatito.
It's a lie! Believe me, he's lying! He's lying!
Order. I believe this man has treasonously funneled information to Gatito to assist him in his raid.
He's lying!
For personal consideration.
That's a lie! A lie! Believe me, he's lying!
Objection! And that he has selfishly endangered the lives of settlers in this area by bringing on the threat of retaliation from the Mexican government.
May I speak,
But there is
please?
only one conviction open to this court.
Mr. President!
Treason!
He's lying!
May I speak?
No, believe me, he's lying! He's lying!
After 4 days and nights, though prepared to die, Trooper Tobin Davis waited for the promised return of Colonel Mackenzie. With food and water almost gone, the wait would soon have to end.
I will remind you all that this is a military court, and you will conduct yourselves accordingly. I sincerely hope that the recess has given everyone time to calm down. And Lieutenant Ferron, I warn you again, I will permit no further unfounded accusations of treason. Lieutenant Alexander, you will constrain the accused.
My apologies to the court, sir.
And this court to Senor Escamilla, the Mexican representative. You may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Now, Colonel, will you please tell the court how long the accused has been here at Fort Clark?
I can't tell you that exactly. I'd have to consult my records.
Well, approximately.
A year, 14 months, perhaps.
How long has Corporal Tobin Davis been here?
The brothers were transferred here at the same time.
According to the records, they have served the entire time of their enlistment together. As a matter of fact, they're inseparable. Isn't that correct, sir?
It would appear so.
Well, under the circumstances, don't you find it strange that Tobin Davis isn't here at this trial? Do you know where he is at the moment?
Lieutenant Ferron, it was pointed out to you a few moments ago that Colonel Mackenzie cannot be expected to have such answers.
Sir, with the court's permission, I can give you that answer. I know where he is not. He is not here at Fort Clark.
Mr. President, I fail to see what this information proves. A check of the records of the officer of the day will undoubtedly reveal the whereabouts of Tobin Davis. Or does a trial judge advocate believe that he, too, is guilty of these accusations?
I am afraid that my answer to that question might cause another outburst.
Now you're accusing my brother of your filthy lies.
Order. Order. Lieutenant Ferron, if you are formally accusing Corporal Tobin Davis of illegal acts, you will do so in the prescribed manner. This court-martial hearing stands adjourned until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Corporal. Corporal.
Colonel?
I told you it wasn't going to be easy.
I know, but Lieutenant Ferron's making me out a traitor. And Tobin, too.
The lieutenant's only doing his duty as he sees it.
But it's not right. Sure, I was across the river. The reason why, I can keep it to myself. But I can't stand...
Davis, don't you think I want to deny Lieutenant Ferron's accusations? Don't you think I want everybody to know the truth about you? But it can't be that way. Even if your life depended on it, I'd have to keep my mouth shut. It's my duty to keep my mouth shut. Just like it's your duty to take anything that they throw at you on that stand.
Duty?
Exactly, Adam. Duty. Everything good that we've accomplished in this territory has been accomplished by men who saw their duty and didn't turn their backs on it. What that lad must be going through, it's not fair. It's not fair to ask that much of any man.
It's asked every time that you lead a band of raiders across the Rio Grande. They volunteered. Some have died in the field as their sacrifice. Corporal Davis is another kind of sacrifice. He must give it, and we must expect it. Colonel, there is nothing that you can do.
Yes, there is. There's one thing I can do.
What do you mean?
My leg is loosened up enough. I'm going to go after Corporal Tobin Davis.
That will not influence Corporal Davis.
That was not my intention, sir.
I apologize.
Mr. Cameron, Adam Davis or no Adam Davis, trial or no trial, I'd be going after that man in Mexico.
Of course. But what about the patrols? I understand the Federales have closed the border.
I'll get through somehow. I'll get through if I have to ride as far south as the Rio Grande.
Just one more word. If you are caught, you will face the same fate as Corporal Davis.
That's the fate I live with, Mr. Cameron.
Davis. Corporal Davis, can you hear me? Here.
right, cinch it around you. Here we go.
Didn't that good-for-nothing brother of mine come with you, Colonel?
You and I are due back at the fort.
Lieutenant Alexander, before this session began, you requested permission to address the court.
Yes, Mr. President. Against my advice, Corporal Davis wants to take the witness stand.
Corporal, are you aware of the consequences once you take the oath?
Yes, sir, I am.
You will be open to cross-examination by the trial judge advocate.
I know, sir.
Sergeant Wells.
Corporal Davis.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
You may address the board, Corporal.
Strange. I stand over there and I tell the truth. It can't be heard. I am out of order. Over here, it can be heard.
Judicial procedure was not devised in this court, Corporal. What is it that you wish to say?
Under oath, before God, I want to wipe out the lies told about my brother. My brother is guilty of nothing. He is innocent of the accusations made here. I'm on trial. Think what you will of me. He's not here to defend himself.
And your impassioned plea was most touching, perhaps even to be believed. But it is my belief that you are guilty. Guilty of illegal dealings below the border. Guilty of treason.
That's a lie!
Then will you kindly, for the benefit of this court, tell us what you were doing below the border? Well, Corporal Davis, we're waiting for your answer. What were you doing in Mexico?
The accused will answer.
I refuse to answer. You may think what you will.
The accused will stand. Corporal Adam Davis, of the charges and specifications, you have been found guilty. You will be stripped of all insignia, formally and dishonorably discharged from the United States Army, and forfeit all rights and privileges due you. This sentence to be carried out immediately.
The colonel told me everything.
Just so's you're safe.
But why, Adam?
It's the way it's got to be. Colonel, at the end there, Secretary Cameron, he seemed to know. Did he?
I can't answer that, Adam.
Yes, sir.
I can only tell you this. The ones who count, well, they know.
Thank you, Colonel.
What now, Adam?
Well, I've been in this part of the country for a long time. I guess I'll homestead. Get a piece of land, work it maybe. If there's ever a need for an unofficial raider, well...
I'd be proud.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for people to live. Ride with Mackenzie's raiders as they relive the blazing pages of history in the making.